So chase or fade that CMC has his best fantasy outing of the season, which his highest up to this point has been just under 28 fantasy points. That's this Sunday. Geoff.
I mean, I'll fade it. I mean, I do think it's a good spot. And like I said, I do expect Carolina to potentially roll here against Washington, who's probably going to be getting like a little bit overvalued coming off their biggest win of the season. But that was essentially their Super Bowl. I mean, this is still a team without their best defensive player. I fade that McCaffrey's going to have like his best game of the year, just on the fact that now we've got Cam Newton there, who we know what Cam Newton does. He steals red zone touches from running backs. You know, McCaffrey had 10 targets last week. Is he going to get 10 targets with Cam Newton at quarterback? I think that's far less likely scenario, just because Cam, instead of dumping it off, will just take off himself as well. You've got a game script where maybe McCaffrey gets a few more carries, but again, probably going to lose out on the red zone touches. So I think his touchdown probability goes down in this spot. His carries should be up, and it may be a good spot for some garbage time like rushing, but I just don't think it's necessarily as good a ceiling spot as maybe even like last week.
Yeah, Pearce, his carries have increased, just his touches overall the past 2 weeks, 18 in week 9 and then 23 last week.
Well, I'm going to fade this. I mean, volume's one thing, but what kind of volume is he going to get? And Geoff alluded to the fact that Cam Newton will likely poach some of those touchdowns. There's a chance here for CMC to get 1 touchdown maybe, but 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, that's asking too much. And yeah, the volume has increased, but the problem coming into this season, the problem that's plagued the Panthers for the last several seasons, is offensive line play. Their offensive line is not very good, and their offensive line is pretty much completely injured. So he might get volume, but it's behind a bad offensive line. One thing that Washington does pretty well is stopping the run, and if anyone is going to be able to stop Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton, it might be their former coach in Ron Rivera. This is probably not where I'm going to go.
Hey, Reid, chase or fade for me. Christian McCaffrey has his best fantasy outing of the season this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 for 3. And voice of reason, thank you, Pearce, about Carolina, and talk about Washington getting a lot of positive publicity. I mean, Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers all of a sudden are a good team. And I mean, Pearce laid it out perfectly about this offensive line. You just I just don't trust it at all, right? It's not changed since Sam Darnold has left the building, respectively, right? Like, I don't get it. You like Christian McCaffrey from the standpoint that he's usually $10,000. So now he's $8,900. I think he's a better play than Jonathan Taylor, just because I think Cam is going to have to rely, and the Panthers are going to have to rely on CMC. What I do like for CMC though is his longest reception and maybe longest rush. His longest rush is over 15.5 at -105 on the DK Sportsbook. If the defense is going to have to worry about 2 backs, right, in Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey, you could get maybe a little bit more one-on-one type of situation. And his 16.5 longest reception at -115, those are things that I like a lot more than potentially leaning on Christian McCaffrey, even though he's got you 27 carries and like 14 catches. I think he has to get up to that 8-9 catch to get to the 26-28 landmark. I don't think that's happening this week.